Liquid staking is one of the narratives that we can penetrate, and we've done pretty well in since 2023. Basically, anything that produces a yield in DeFi, we can have a market on Pendle.
Welcome to Layer 2 Insider. I'm here today with Ken Chia. He is the head of institutional of Pendle. Thank you so much for coming to
Thanks for
our
having
show
me.
today,
Yeah.
especially in this hot weather.
Yep.
We're actually in Bangkok right now, so outside it's really hot, like 40 degrees.
It's good to be indoors.
Yeah, it's good too. And you were back from like another event, right?
Yes, it's ongoing now. C Blockchain Week.
Yeah,
Just at
that's
Siam Icon. Yeah.
It's a busy week
It
for
is a
you.
very busy week. Yeah, every day is back to back to back to back, and many events at night. So
Okay. So how's the team back home?
the team,
Yeah.
yeah,
How's the process so far? Because I think this year it's a very good start for you guys, right?
Yeah.
I heard TVL has been like 60% increase.
yep,
Yeah.
So I think yeah, we are trying to maintain the momentum, keep things going, keep shipping and delivering according to our timelines, and at the same time, try to be active, more active with events and be more participative.
Any highlights that you wanna share with the viewers
Yeah,
for
sure.
this year?
So
Yeah.
I think some milestones that we hit this year, we just crossed 5 billion in TVL. We are probably the largest protocol on some chains like Arbitrum, Mantle. We're top 10 on Ethereum as well. So I think some of the uh, drivers that help us to succeed include us getting the narratives right. We did pretty well with the whole points and LRT narrative. So hoping to have more in those narratives.
More than 5 billion
Yeah,
already,
yeah,
which is impressive.
yeah.
Congratulations
Thank you.
first. Yeah. So, which mean that a lot of developers and also like users are consider Pendles like a hot topic
Yeah,
for this year. So, how would you define Pendle just in the simple terms for
yeah. Sure,
people
sure.
if they might don't know about Pendle?
Yeah. So in very broad terms, Pendle is basically a protocol to trade yield. So instead of trading spot prices, you're trading the direction of yield. And it's one of the few protocols that allow for fixed rates. As we know in DeFi, almost all assets are the rates are floating in nature. So every day it's a different rate, right? And there's a lack of a term structure or a fixed rate market in DeFi and in crypto. Whereas if you look at traditional finance, there's, obviously with treasuries, you have fixed term and multiple maturities. We're building that in crypto.
Do you consider that as liquid staking?
Liquid staking is one of the narratives that we can penetrate, and we've done pretty well in since 2023. Basically, anything that produces a yield in DeFi, we can have a market on Pendle. Yeah.
I see, I see. So if people they define like Pendle's narrative is liquid staking, is that
Yeah.
correct? Or it's more than that?
I think we're quite opportunistic, and we'd be quite lucky to be identified as a liquid staking related token. And then later on, we got into RWA, and later on, we now got back into staking, specifically in liquid restaking with pools like ethereum and Renzo and Swell. So I think that puts us in a unique position whereby we can always pivot our narrative depending on where is hot in the market. Yeah.
So the go-to trades for Pendle, if you have to pick out some,
Yeah.
and also for technical guys. So what is the go-to trade?
Go-to trades. Yeah. So I think with a lot of the hype and speculation around Eigenlayer and all the LRT points, and maybe before I go into that, Pendle, for those who are less familiar, we split yield bearing assets into principal and yield. And with the yield, you also get a lot of points with that yield token. So with Eigenlayer and with all the LRT points, a lot of people are buying the yield token, and that has driven up the yield quite a bit for the fixed yield side. So the go-to trades would be to buy the principal token, or PT for short, and get up to 50, 60% APY on ETH. That has been very popular. We've seen, clips in like 1,000 to 5,000, 10,000 ETH at one time. People buying and yeah, just holding that to maturity for a 3 to 4 month hold. I think it's a very good trade.
Is there a lot of protocols in the market that does the same as you guys, or you guys are like the niche market here?
Okay, we're definitely not the first. There are some players that try to get into the yield trading space when we started in 21. Today, I think there are more players that are coming to the market, but yeah, I think so far we're probably one of the main players. Yeah,
So I think that Pendle compatible with a lot of ecosystem like
yeah,
Ethereum, right?
yeah,
BNB, Optimism. Are,
yeah.
are there more?
Yeah, so primarily EVM based chains. So Arbitrum and Ethereum are the main ones. But like you mentioned, we have pools deployed on BNB, on OP, and Mantle.
So you are heading towards more of Arbitrum and Ethereum than other ecosystem. Is that right? Is that a strategy
At the
for you
moment,
guys?
yes. So I think being on mainnet is the default. And then with Arbitrum, we were fortunate to be one of the winners of the Arbitrum STIP program, the short-term incentive program. So we had 2 million ARP to give out for over 6 months. So when we got the grant, we were able to incentivize our users to trade and provide liquidity on Pendle. So that has been the plan for the past 6 months. Going forward, I think we're open to new deployments, but it depends on the demand that we see.
So on Ethereum, are you guys already like Pendle is on Ethereum for like a long time
Yeah.
already, and now it's Arbitrum. And then are you guys like, is that like a strategy that you planning to like have for each ecosystem time by time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because Pendle we don't have our own assets. We actually make market on other assets, right? So for us to consider other chains, we need to first assess if there's sufficient demand and liquidity for yield bearing assets. And ideally, there are more blue chip assets like State ETH or, for example, METH on Mantle. If there's sufficient demand and there is good enough liquidity, and we see demand from our LPs as well, then I think it makes sense for us to consider markets on those chains.
I think restaking is something that people talk a lot about
Yeah,
these days.
yeah,
It's a hot topic as well.
yeah.
So is Pendle heading towards restaking? Are you guys ever gonna join restaking?
Yeah, we have been in restaking since January, and I think that has been the key driver for us in terms of achieving a lot of our milestones this year. Our first restaking pool was with EtherFi, and then we saw a lot of demand for that, and we used that as a case study, replicated that success across other pools with Renzo, with Swell, Kelp, and so forth. Yeah, Puffer. Yeah, so it's going to be a strong theme for the rest of the year. Yeah.
Do you think that you guys are gonna do more in restaking within the future?
Yeah, so I think at the moment, a lot of the current demand for restaking is because, like I mentioned, on the hype around eigenlayer points and LRT points. But beyond the points, once the points are done and TGE is done, they'll move into actually having the AVSs go live, the actively validated services go live, and that's where the new restaking yields will come from. So I think restaking will be a narrative to stay for the foreseeable future. Yeah.
Per maybe in this year, or maybe 2 or 3 years later?
We don't
What are
know.
your thoughts?
We don't know, but at
Ah.
least till the end of the year, I think we will definitely see
Something
restaking
like
around.
believing,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I see.
yeah.
Can we go back a little bit to
Sure.
your background? Because I know that you have experience in both business development
Yeah.
and also operational as well.
Yes.
But what was your initial background?
So I actually started my career in TradFi, in
TradFi.
banking. So I used to be a banker at JP Morgan
Oh,
in Singapore. So I used to specifically be a private banker, and I used to cover ultra high net worth individuals and managing portfolios. And then I first moved into crypto in 2017, initially with an exchange, and I ran operations for the exchange
And with a friend, maybe.
with an ex-colleague.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, helped to run the exchange and bring in more institutional players as well. So market makers come and improve the depth of our markets. And then did that for a few years. I eventually moved into a lending business called Abra. If you're familiar with like Celsius and BlockFi and Genesis, they're one of the players. I ran the APAC lending desk based out of Singapore as well. So again, dealing with the same institutional players and liquidity providers. And then I moved into DeFi after Abra.
And then with Pendle, right?
Yeah, with Pendle.
So approximately how many years already?
Been with Pendle for about over a year.
Over a
Yeah,
year.
so not too long.
Not too
Yeah.
long. Yeah. Still a lot to come.
Yeah.
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 A lot of events to attend.
Yes.
So how about future plans for Pendle?
Pendle.
Yeah, can we get a little bit
some alpha?
more?
Well, I think in terms of new assets, we're always on the lookout for interesting assets. I think this year is going to be a lot of points meta. So we're looking at more points related plays, but also beyond points. There are some plays in the pipeline as well. And currently, Pendle is on its V2 iteration. We don't have too much to share publicly yet on V3, but V3 is in the works. What I can share about V3 is that it will unlock different types of markets beyond just DeFi markets. And it will, hopefully Pendle will be will unlock new use cases for more sophisticated players.
For V3, will there be like a
Yeah.
timeline for it?
Next year.
Next year.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Any upcoming events for Pendle? Are you guys
Um,
planning anything near?
No, we don't. We're not very active in hosting events,
See.
but we do participate when we're invited. Yeah.
So consider in an ecosystem.
Yeah.
Like, are you guys focused more on developers? Is that like a true saying, or maybe you keep the balance between both user and developers?
Yeah, I think we have different parts of our team focus on different communities. So on the BD side, we of course focus more on the users. We have a big emphasis on education because Pendle can be a complex product. So we try to have a lot of material, a lot of threads, a lot of videos to explain the mechanics behind Pendle and the different strategies on Pendle. And then on the dev side, I think talent pipeline is very important in crypto. So we have a team that is very active in the dev community and actively looking to hire good talent.
How big is
Yeah.
the team? The team in Singapore, right?
We're spread out around Southeast Asia, so we're about 30 or so. Yeah,
And but headquarters in Singapore.
yeah. Sure.
So Ken, thank you for coming to our show today.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure to talk with you. Yeah.
Likewise, yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah.